everyone, Keri from Counselor Keri back to talk more about using centers in school counseling. So today I want to talk about two different methods of running your centers. The first method is one that I tend to gravitate towards just because it's really easy to do in a classroom teacher's room and it works well for time-limited lessons. So in this first method, which I just call rotating centers, students are divided into small groups. They start at one center with their small group and they stay with the same peers each time they rotate through all of the centers. And the rotation happens at a semi-structured interval. So all of your centers are going to take about the same amount of time for your students to complete either individually or as a small group, whatever the center is. So this works really well for students when you're going into the classroom teacher's room, maybe once a week, twice a month, something like that. So you're going in, doing your centers, and wrapping up, and it has a structure to it. So you can plan your mini lesson around that. You can do your 5-minute intro. You can do five-minute centers. You can do a debrief at the end. Whatever works in your time structure. So the second method is a little bit less structured, and it works really well for counselors who have their own room and might be in the specials rotation, so seeing students with a little more frequency. So in this method, students don't start out with a small group. Instead, you have centers set up in your room, and students can choose which center they want to go to, and they choose how long they want to stay there. So if you have maybe 6 or more centers that you know students won't be able to fully experience in one class period, you may want to keep them set up in your room for a couple weeks, maybe even a full month, so that your students can really visit all of them and spend the amount of time that they need to actually understand what the center is teaching them. So you may be wondering about crowd control with this method. So I want to share a little strategy that I picked up when I was working in a pre-K school. So you can use these colored clothespins, and you just assign each center a color. Now this is really easy to do if you have these little picture clips like I showed before. You can clip your center instructions in these and then just place them at the table where your center is. So this would be the green center, the orange center, and so forth. You can have as many as you need. Now, after you do your mini lesson or your introduction and it's time for students to go choose what center that they want to go to, they can go to your designated area where you have your clothespins hanging in your room. If they want to go to the green center, they choose a green clothespin, clip it on their shirts, and go to the green center. So if you want no more than 4 students at a center, you only make 4 clothespins for the center. Then once all of the green clips are gone, no more students can go to the green center until someone decides to move on. When they want to move on to a new center, they take their clothespin back to your designated area, clip it back on, and choose another clothespin. Now, if somebody else wanted to go to the green center, they see that one is available, then they can go get the green clothespin and switch centers. So it's also a really easy way for you to quickly look around and assess to see if everybody's in the right place. If you notice there are more than 5 or more than 4 students at a center, you can look around and see who doesn't have a clothespin to match that center, and it helps you figure out who needs to move on to another one. So you may be concerned about students just staying at one center for the entire time and never trying the other ones. You may want to say, hey guys, we've been at centers for 20 minutes now. If you're still at your first center, it's time to move on and pick another center. You could also have a sign-in sheet at your centers. That way you can quickly look at the sign-in sheet, see who has been to what centers, and then when your students come back for the next week or your next lesson, you can say like, hey Karen, you did really great work last week at the blue and green center, so this week give the orange and red centers a try, something like that. Okay, so just to summarize, there are 2 major methods of operating your centers. First, students rotate through the centers with a small group at a semi-regular time interval, staying with their group for the entire time. This works well if you're doing centers over 1 or 2 class periods in the classroom teacher's room because you can set up, students rotate with some structure, and then wrap up and move on. In the second method, centers are set up in your room for an extended period of time, and the students choose which center they want to go to and how long they want to stay. Works really well if you have your own room, works well maybe if you are in the specials rotation and seeing your students more often. So I hope that this was helpful for you to imagine how your centers might work for you and your students. Be sure to subscribe to get more school counseling ideas so that we can work together to spark student growth.